Every spring, I take your bold predictions and I process them and I give them a rating of 1 to 10 based on how bold I think they are. If I give you a 9.5 or greater and your prediction comes true, you get a chalice of supremacy. Most of them don't come true because they are bold. And the ones that go up in flames, we celebrate by roasting over the December campfire here. First up, Sean from Murfreesboro, Tennessee. My Miami Hurricanes go on a historic run in 2024 and win the national championship. Wrong. Your offense went on a historic run. Defense, not so much. Number 1 scoring offense in the country, number 60 scoring defense in the country, was still there at the very end. They're up by 3 touchdowns against Syracuse. They end up losing 42-38. They miss out on the playoffs. Their consolation prize is the greatest consolation prize in the history of humanity. They get to go play in the Pop-Tart Bowl. That is not sarcasm in the least. Candidly, I'd rather be in the Pop-Tart Bowl than probably be the 11th seed in the playoff. These people at the Pop-Tart Bowl have refashioned their trophy, in case you haven't seen this, to where it is a working toaster that you can insert the Pop-Tarts in, and it pops them out ready to go. That is the biggest one giant leap for mankind, one small step for man. It's one small step for man, one giant leap for breakfast. That's what it is. I'm so proud of the people at the Pop-Tart Bowl. They're paying me nothing to say this. They haven't even sent us product. Blueberry, by the way. They haven't even sent us product. But you know what? Good decisions are being made there. If the people who ran the Pop-Tart Bowl and the people who run the Chick-fil-A checkout line were running college football, it'd be fixed tomorrow. Next up, Mason from Dahlonega, Georgia, beautiful Dahlonega, Georgia, said Jalen Milroe wins the Heisman and Bama wins the SEC championship, 12-1 regular season. Well, this didn't happen. I put a 9.25 on the boldness scale on this. Milroe winning the Heisman and Bama winning the SEC, you could see a little correlation there. Like if one happened, the other was statistically more likely to happen. Well, down the stretch, it was obvious Milroe wasn't going to win the Heisman. But if Bama beat Oklahoma, they could have still gone on to Atlanta, and they could have won the thing. Like, they could have done half of this, but I don't think both were happening. And I put a 9.25 on that. So that one goes down, and Bama's not even in the playoff. So they are playing against Michigan. Sounds like all their players are opting in. So celebrate that. We don't get that so much anymore. Celebrate that. Next up, this one was complex. Jacob from Annville, PA. Jesse, was Steve Blackman from Annville, Pennsylvania? Yeah, he was. The Lethal Weapon, Steve Blackman. You know, in some alternate universe, he watches the channel. And in this universe, most people don't know who I'm talking about. Pro wrestler in the Attitude Era. Jacob from Annville, PA. Oregon and Texas both win their conferences in their first year and meet for the national championship. Now, I put a 9.25 on this. My thinking was, part of this is due to the bracket. So even if you do call Oregon winning the Big Ten and call Texas winning the SEC, they've got to be like the number 1 and number 2 seed, or else they could end up on the same side of the bracket and they would meet before the championship game. So you needed them to be 1 and 2. Well, I could see that if Texas wins the SEC and if Oregon wins the Big Ten. In fact, if Texas had won the SEC, like Oregon did win the Big Ten, they would have been 1 and 2, and they could have theoretically met up in the title game. But this involves so many things going right, I put a 9.25 on it. This is impossible. Because number 1, Texas let a backup quarterback beat them in Atlanta in come-from-behind fashion. And they are in a position where they would play Oregon in the semifinal instead of the final. So 0 for 2 there. Lastly, and this one was closer than I thought it would have been. This one came from Birmingham. 2 G5 teams make the playoff. I put a 9.75 on this. It did not come true, so the chalice is safe. But it got close. Boise's in with a first-round bye. UNLV, had they beaten Boise, we would have had a conversation. Because UNLV would have gotten in. Would Boise have fallen out? Inquiring minds want to know. And then also think about where Tulane was. Up until a couple of weeks before the thing, Tulane loses to Memphis as a big favorite. And then they go lose to Army. So in the end, they weren't close. But Tulane was floating in like the mid-teens in the playoff rankings there for a while. So we came close. Now, I would argue we may have just come as close as we're ever going to come, because however they're about to fix this playoff moving forward, there are a few truths in an uncertain world, but one of them is I don't think multiple chairs are going to be dedicated to G5 moving forward. It's not my way. It's the way it's going to be, I think. So that's where it is.